played a gig with Fools Among Us, which was just a fantastic guys. I played a gig with Fools Among Us, and this was really an interesting thing. Somebody said to me in the audience before we start playing, he goes, "Hey man, I'm going to stand in front of you and watch you." I'm like, "That's fantastic, thank you." You know. What I didn't realize is he was going to get shit faced, and he was going to stare at my eyes.
Oh, God.
While I was like singing backups, he was like looking at me, and he was like, it was like he was abusing me.
Yeah, it was like he was sucking the life out of you.
Yeah, and I actually said to him on the break, I said, "You can't do that anymore. You gotta."
You're freaking me out, dude.
You're freaking me out. I mean, he was like, literally, you know, I'm on the microphone, so I can't even get away from him. And he's standing right in front of me and just staring right in my eyes, and I'm like, I can't have this. This is way weird to me, you know. So he stopped, and then I said, "You can go over there. You could watch. You know, you don't stare into my eyes like you're like stealing my soul." You know.
I know. I'm like, whoa, that's freaked out, man. I got a story for you. A friend of mine went to go see King Crimson. I don't know if you ever heard of King Crimson.
Oh, come on, yeah,
Robert Fripp, right? I mean,
yeah,
I know you're a lot younger than me, but
well,
I mean,
the Schizoid Man is my tune, you know.
Okay, so King Crimson, Robert Fripp, he goes to the show. He's excited. He's going to see his idol. He's like so stoked, right? Got front row seat. He sits down. The concert starts, and he's like watching Robert Fripp like intently, like feeling this, and he's like, "Oh man." Robert Fripp says to him right after the song was over. He goes, "Man, stop staring at me like that. You're sucking the life out of me. Stop staring at me. You're freaking me out." And
That's awesome.
My friend was just like, "Oh my God!" And
Robert Fripp just spoke to me.
he was his idol, but he was crushed. No, he was crushed.
Yeah.
He was just like, "Well, you know, I love you." He felt like saying, "Well, I love you. I'm just watching you." But he must have been really, really staring him down, because Robert Fripp told him, "Dude, you're sucking the life out of me. Stop staring at me."
Yeah. No, I understand. I was actually.
So I get it.
You mentioned that this was his idol. I've been very lucky, because as I mentioned before, the two moments that put me on my musical path was 1976 with Ace Frehley and Kiss, and then 1984 with Jakey Lee playing with Ozzy. And I've been lucky enough that I have met both of these guys and thanked them personally for their influence on me.
That's great.
And they were fantastic about it. Because I had a friend that met his idol, and his idol ended up being a jerk and crushed him.
Well, yeah, I met somebody on 48th Street that I idolized one time, and he kind of crushed me a bit.
Yeah.
But I hear now that later on, years later, from other people, that it must have just been a fluke thing. He must have just been not feeling it that day and not having it that day. You know, everybody has a bad day.
Yeah, everybody does have a bad day.
You know, I tell people the story about this famous person. I'm not going to mention any names, and they say he's a sweetheart. So you never know. But I did meet one idol on 48th Street that just blew me away. And in my time, in my era, the saxophone player for me was and now this escapes me. I can't believe now. I'm gonna blow this whole story. Dexter Gordon. I don't know what happened to my mind. Anyway, I met Dex on 48th Street, and I'm 5'6", and he had to be 6'6". And I looked up to him, and I said, "Mr. Gordon, it's a pleasure to meet you. You're such an inspiration." And he looks down at me, and he puts his arm around me and gives me a big hug. And he's like, "Oh man, thanks, man."
Oh,
it's great to meet you. What's your name? You know, and I told him my name, and Cindy goes, yeah, man, I got to get a cab. I'm going uptown, man. It was nice meeting you. He like put his arm around me. I was so stoked.
that's awesome.
I was
That's
like,
awesome.
oh my God, Dexter Gordon just put his arm around me and
Yeah.
acknowledged that I'm a person on this planet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just amazing.
No, that's fantastic. That's it's when I saw, like I said, my biggest fear was that, that when I met, one of my idols, that he was going to be a jerk. You know, it's like I almost didn't want to get the opportunity. I started talking myself out of it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I almost didn't want to talk to Dexter Gordon because I had that bad experience before that.
yeah, well, yeah, you start thinking, oh my God, this person's been like, you know, what I've been looking at as a musician for so long. Just to the inspiration. What if he's a jerk? That's going to be horrible.
Yeah. Oh,
So I lucked out. I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate that I met both of my guys, and they were just awesome. They were awesome, awesome. Those are interesting moments in time.
yeah. I met
Yeah.
I met another one of my heroes also, Jaco Pastorius.
Oh, you met Jocko.
Yeah, I don't want to I don't want to promote things myself here, but I studied with him for quite a while in the '80s.
Oh,
And
cool.
but when I first met him, I says to him, I'm so nervous, I'm shaking, I'm like, I didn't know what to say to him, so I said, my name is John, I play bass, and looks down at me, he goes, yeah, me too, and he shakes my hand, and I go, oh shit, now he's goofing on me. And Jocko's freaking goofing on me. First thing I say, I'm going to make a total jerk out of myself, right? So this is the first lesson. I'm on my way home on the train, and I start thinking, he wasn't goofing on me. His name is John Francis Pastorius. So his name is John, and he does play the bass. He wasn't goofing on me. But, I says, I'm sorry, I'm really, really nervous. He goes, yeah, your hands are pretty sweaty. He goes, take it easy, man. Come on in. And, his hands were like this big compared to mine.
Yeah, yeah,
And he just wrapped around my whole hand, sweaty, palmy hand. I'm like,
yeah. No,
oh.
I took a lesson from Larry Coryell when I was 18 years old, 17 years old.
Wow. Yeah,
And
he was great.
yeah, that was one of those. And the first thing I did is I opened my guitar case and my guitar fell out.
Oh,
Like
no.
it unlocked and opened up as it was standing up, and it just fell out. And I'm like, that's how I was nervous. I was, I'm 17 years old. I'm playing down the lesson with Larry Coryell. And that's what I did. And he goes, well, now that the ice is broken. I'm like, okay. It was a cool moment.
I had a weird experience with my bass one time. I was showing it to somebody and I opened it up and something fell out. I'm not going to say what it was. And something fell out onto the floor and I grabbed it real quick and stuck it back in my bass case and looked up and I was like, oops, sorry. A bag of weed, fell out of the case. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And that person never looked at me the same afterwards. But what are you going to do, Al?
Yeah, live and let live. I always tell you, my friend Eddie Coggan came over to the very line and says, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. That's really what I'm trying. Now, it was interesting. I had a bass player in one of the bands I was in. He said, it's a shame that you stopped playing for so long. And I said, I don't think so. I think it was a good thing, because I had so much coming into me for those years. And I was lucky that I was able to get back into playing, because now I've got so much creativity to go out.
Yeah.
Because I notice people that there's people that practice. I practice a lot, an hour, maybe 2 hours a day on average. But I know people that practice a lot. Like they have to practice, they have to play. And I'll still take like 5 days off, a week off from playing completely, you know. I like that. That's a good thing, you know. And I think that people who play so much, they don't really evolve. They become better at what they can do, but I don't think they can evolve into different stuff, you know. That's like something I was saying
Yeah, it
about.
depends on what you're practicing.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I
some
mean,
people.
you know,
I
there's
think
a
people.
difference between practicing and playing.
Right,
And
right, right.
don't play when you practice, and don't practice when you play. I mean, I look at it from a standpoint of if you're going to practice, practice is practicing. Scales, arpeggios, up and down, all your keys, all different ways, all different patterns,
Exercises, yeah.
all your different exercises, reading, sight reading, uh, chordal things, figuring out different, different different chords. We'll just keep it simple and say just different chords. And then there's playing, so, and then hopefully all of that stuff that you practice, what you can use comes out in your playing.
Right.
So a lot of people get confused with that. They think if they're sitting down and they're playing, the same riffs that they've been playing for 20 years and they just are playing, that's not practicing. You're not going to get anywhere.
No, well, that's my point. Is I see a lot of people like, I still take lessons, and I take lessons when I can from a person. Like there's somebody on the other end.
I can't stress that enough. That
it's huge. It's huge.
It's so
the
much
give and take.
different than trying to learn online or doing things like that. When
right.
One-on-one, it's a whole nother experience, and I wish more people would get it, but you get it, obviously.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting because of the period of time that I didn't play was a time where the internet was really creative. You know, when I stopped playing, we didn't have cell phones. I stopped playing publicly in 1990. I was 20 years old. We didn't have cell phones. When I started playing again publicly was 2014. So like in that period of time, a lot changed.
Oh, you're not kidding. Absolutely.
And it's like, I still use tube amps because nothing sounds like tubes. The technology is phenomenal. We look at talk about Logic and all that recording technology. It's all phenomenal. It's all incredible. It's beyond me, But learning and they don't like when you learn with a human being on the other end, a teacher, you learn how to improvise, and that's something that you're not learning from YouTube clips, I know Bill goes to I used to go to a lot of the open jams, like blues jams.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was never a jammer, but right before this whole pandemic thing came down, I was actually starting to go out to some jam sessions. And it was fun, and I enjoyed it. There's some good players.
I think it's a really good experience for people to do, because I always loved improv, and I always loved the communication, the language of music with other players, with musicians, So when you go to these open jams, these blues jams, a lot of them were just like old 12-bar blues, And
oh yeah, that's it. Just keep it simple, and
keep it simple.
Everybody have a good time.
Yeah, and it goes around. Everybody does their little fills, their little solos, but you can really make something out of that stuff, and it's like using it's exercising a part of your brain, your creativity, that in front of somebody. So it's one thing it's one thing to sit here and do it at home, to a tape or to a jam track or even to one other person. But then you go up, like I would go to these blues jams, and I would drag my wife with me, because I don't know anybody, and she's my wingman, she's my support. So we would go together, and I would just put my name on the list, and I wouldn't know anybody, and I still don't. I would just maybe the next time I'm back I recognize this guy. But I thought that was always so cool and my wife said to me, she goes, I couldn't do this. She said, aren't you nervous? I said, I'm terrified. I said, but that's really what living's about. That's the excitement for me. That was what it was, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I told my I have a 3-piece band with my drummer, Andy. And I would say to him, I said, we played a gig in Fools Among Us. He said, hey, man, have a good show. I'm like, screw that. I'm like, put 150% out. It will be either a train wreck or glorious. But either way, if it's glorious, it's beautiful. I mean, it's an incredible thing. I said, but it could be a train wreck. But I could have a train wreck doing 50% or 80%. If I'm going to do a train wreck, I'm going to put 150% out and get a train wreck.
There you go. Yeah.
And that was the excitement of playing. But yeah, there's not a lot of younger players I see that technically they're fantastic players. I mean, way better than I could ever dream of. But they can't bend a note.
Yeah. You gotta have a little blues in you, man. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Jamming is great.
It's where it comes from. It's where a lot of things come from. Yeah, they're missing the articulations. They're missing the little tricks, the little pull-offs, and the bends, and a lot of that stuff. And it's a lot of technical scales up and down very evenly, which is cool, and everybody's using the compressor, and every note sounds the same, and
they're looping it actually on some of these things now,
I don't know.
When
I hear a good player, I want to hear dynamics in the playing.
Yeah.
I want to hear soul. I want to hear feel. I don't care how many notes you play, and I'm guilty I'm guilty of being the note man. Like, wait, man, you should be getting paid for your, for every note. But when you look at a couple, a lot of these great blues guys, I mean, they take 2 notes, and now they'll floor you with just 2.
You listen to Jeff Beck, he can hit 1 note and hold on to it. And be like, I know that's Jeff Beck. And that's incredible. And that 1 note is taking you on a journey, It's incredible. I agree 100%.
Sometimes, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes I'll just sit down and I'll do backing track with my duper, and I'll just say to myself, what can you do with 2 notes? Just pick 2 notes and try to make music with those 2 notes. And you'd be surprised. It's difficult at first, but after you keep exploring it for a while, you get the hang of it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's like that's why I don't use a tremolo, because it's like I feel like there's some people that can use them. I'm not the guy for that. I feel like it would be something. I mean, I used them in the '80s when we were all just dive bombs and scream, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, but I think for me it's I would depend upon it as a crutch. It would be like, I can't think of anything creative here, so I'm just going to hit a harmonic and dive bomb it, and that's what I would do. So I do things because I think that way, like how you're thinking. Is that how can I do less? Because sometimes the most beautiful part of a song is between the notes, and I think what I do is like I'll use heavy strings. I use 11 to 52s.
Wow, that is fun. I use like 9s on a Strat and 10s on the full.
No, the Strats, they all have, and Telecaster also has 11s on it too.
How does the neck react with that? Because I would think that would put a lot of stress on it.
I don't.
Especially like a Strat, right? I always thought, you gotta use light strings on Strat.
No, I guess.
The neck,
I never had any issues with it. I mean, I guess I would, I've never had to adjust any. I mean, when I built the guitars, as an example, I set it up, and I haven't had to do any adjustments. I had to do adjustments.
You set it up for the strings that you use.
Yeah, you set it up for what strings you're using. But I have to say that the roasted maple is a harder wood than non-roasted. It seems to me.
Really? You think
it seems to me that
more dense?
It's more dense. Because I bend the neck on the guitars,
right?
And it's definitely stiffer both. I have two of them. I have two with the roasted maples, and they're definitely both stiffer than the glossy maple. You know, the glossy covered maples. You know, but
my friend used to do that. He used to hold on to the horn of the Stratton, and he used to bend the neck,
yeah,
and I would always be like, wow, what the heck are you doing?
that's what
Like,
I would do.
now you gotta
Just
kill the guitar.
can't hear
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
and then you would, you know,
Yeah, and then you use up at the top. I got
yeah,
that from Stanley Clark. Hit the harmonic and then.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's where I saw it the first time. I was like,
Yeah, it sounds
whoa, what
cool.
is that? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you make do with what you have, but yeah,
Yeah.
I do the heavy strings. I mean, think about it. Stevie Ray Vaughan used 13s on his Strat. Think about
Really?
that. Yeah,
He
he
really
used
did.
he used
Wow.
13s. Now, he also tuned
How does
down.
he get all of those bends? How did he get all those bends? He must have a bionic left hand.
It's just about reproducing or constantly playing that way. I mean, the 11s I've always used like 10s, and I went up to 11s, and it was tough at first. It was,
Mhm.
and I'm a big bender. I love bending, and I do a lot. I try to do a lot of my stuff like holding on to a note, you know. Um, but as you get used to it, it's really not. I mean, it just gets easier. And now, like I was even contemplating going to 12s, but I've been having an issue with my hands because when I'm doing some of these gigs, I'm playing 3.5, 4 hours, and it's a lot on your hands, and I actually get fatigued not from the heavy strings, but just from making that movement that I guess my
Yeah,
hand.
because all of the muscles, all in here, are all small muscle groups, and they're all controlled by your fingers. So
Yeah,
when you're doing anything with pressure, it's all of these muscles here. Because I do the wood, well, I was doing the wood refinishing and finishing, and it's a lot of hand sanding. And being right-handed, I use my right hand a lot. And when I play, I use my right hand a lot. And it, all of these muscles, and they just get overused. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
overused. Sometimes it's a technique problem. Sometimes you can straighten things out with your
right.
wrist and things. But if it's not that, if you're not doing anything weird, um, then it's just overuse, and a lot of times it just needs to rest.
I had twice this happened actually at gigs. It was really hot, and I was playing at a gig, and it was the last song. It was like the last like 30 seconds of the song, and my pointer finger just locked up. It just was not. It locked down like this,
Right. Ooh,
and
yeah.
and
I've
I
heard of
was
that
playing.
before.
Yeah, it was weird.
You got
Yeah, I actually had to take my hand and straighten my
it,
finger,
it was
but it was
like a
like
cramp. Was it in here? A cramp?
exactly. It was really strange. I thought it was like dehydration or something. But I had to finish the song with using my middle finger as the root and my pinky as the fifth and the octave, just on a power chord,
Yeah, for the power chord. You're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Thank God it was a power
oh.
chord. It wasn't like like a 13th or something like that.
Yeah. It wasn't something where it was stretched crazy.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It was just a power chord. So I played the rest of the song like this, and we had my friend Hugh was playing the bass, and he looks at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, I don't know, I'm freaking out. Something's not right. Thank God we finished it. That was the last song of the night, but that happened, and it's happened a couple times since then. So I've been doing some like a lot of these things, trying to stretch it out. And I've been drinking like electrolytes with everything. And it's just one of those. I just got to figure it out. But
Yeah.
4 hours is a long time to play your guitar.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
You
it
know,
is. My hand blew up, and I was out of commission for 6 months.
really.
Yeah, and I went to New York, the Roosevelt Hospital, to a special unit that dealt with musicians' injuries.
Really?
And yeah, and I learned a lot there. I learned a real lot. They videotaped me. I learned a lot about technique and different ways and anatomically correct hand position
See,
and
I think
different
that
things
had
like
the thing
that.
is that
But
was probably an issue.
basically, what they told me was it's just overuse, dude. Just stop playing. You can't play. You
Yeah.
cannot play. Just don't play. Let it rest, and we'll figure it out by watching your videotape what what you're doing and why it's not. And they straightened me out. I mean, I was doing all kinds of things wrong that I didn't know I was doing.
Well,
Technical.
scary
I had
stuff.
my bass up too high. I was playing like this. I was playing this way. You know, I had my fingers like this.
Yeah,
And
you're cutting off all the circulation too,
yeah,
probably.
it was no good for me. But I
Yeah.
found out that some players, bass players, when they play like this, can play like that forever and never bother them. Then other people like me are just your hand just blows up. That's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
No,
know.
I guess I'm one of those guys too, where it's just there's some sort of technique that I have to figure out, or simply, hopefully I won't have to play for 4 hours. I
Yeah,
have a three.
sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's just overuse. Like I still get it in this hand because of working all day
Yeah.
and I'm playing and I'm
Yeah.
practicing and then and since I haven't been working, it actually starting to feel a little better now.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not putting the pressure on like that.
Yeah, but
No,
I
it's
practice a lot since I'm home because that's the only thing that keeps me occupied.
right.
Besides my
Right.
cat and my
Yeah.
daughter coming over once in a while to say hello and make sure I'm still alive.
Nice. Yeah, we're animal people. My wife actually runs an animal rescue, so she's way busy doing everything, and then we've got 4 dogs. So
Wow. Yeah. So
yeah,
you got
yeah.
a house full of love.
We have a lot of fur babies. Yeah, they're always looking for attention.
And your wife, what? She's a music major, obviously, and she's performing, or
No, she doesn't perform at all, and I would really hope that we were thinking she used to do like she would like to put something together to do like find a pianist to accompany her and do like like sort of some like 40s jazz and some show tunes and go to like senior centers or assisted living facilities and just do it as a freebie. It's just for fun and
well,
as a bet.
actually, there's a lot of money in that.
Is there really?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of money in going to nursing homes and stuff and doing performances. They pay well and they're very appreciative of it.
Yeah, she would love to do stuff like that. I mean, I
Yeah.
always told her, I said, hey, listen, don't turn down $1 because you can
I mean,
donate
yeah,
it.
I mean, you do, there's all kinds of charity work to be done.
Right. But I think that the issue is that she was like, well, I'll never find a pianist that wants to do it for free. I'm like, well, don't say you want to do it for free. Do it for money, and then you can donate whatever you get if you want. If you don't want to do it
Yeah, if
that
she
way.
wants to donate her part,
Yeah.
and then the poor professional keyboard player can at least have lunch the next
Yeah.
day.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But hopefully we could. Hopefully we could. I'm saying hopefully we could find somebody, but we haven't really put that effort into it. Really. But we were actually talking about it the other day. I was out with the drummer of Rocket Fish, Paul, and his girlfriend Carolyn, and we were talking about it in the car. And because they know a lot of people too, and I think it would be a cool thing. It'd be fun for Franny, my wife's Francesca, for her to do that. And certainly, it's nice to have the escape from your everyday stuff to do some music. Music's a vacation, man. It's always a vacation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she's interested in doing plays and stuff like that, but I just did a musical and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the people in the cast were awesome, and they were great. And
She does plays.
nobody had a big ego. I was told that the one that I did was an exception because in this one nobody had an ego. Everybody worked together.
Yeah.
It was like I don't know. It was just a great thing, and they're always looking for great singers.
They
Because
are.
that's the tough part.
The issue with plays that she was doing it for a while, just local acting, group companies, and that's what she did a tour. Actually, she did an acting tour, a musical.
Oh yeah, see,
Yeah, but the thing with like even doing a local play, it's really big commitment.
oh
You
yeah,
know,
oh
and I
yeah.
think that's really the tough thing is like you have all these nights, you have 3 nights and then 2 weekends, for
Yep,
like
matinee.
maybe like 5 6 weeks, and she doesn't want that. She would like to get a little thing together where she could plan, like you said, go to a nursing home, go to assisted living
Right, do it once
facility,
in a while.
go to one of these, even these, active adult communities, and once in a while do it and have fun, and enjoy it. So we'll have to put our mind together and put some effort into it. We haven't done that, so it hasn't happened because we haven't tried really. But it would be wonderful for her to get to do that. She has a beautiful voice, like an angel. Very rarely do I get to hear it.
Well, I
So.
wish her a lot of luck, and
Thank you.
I'm glad that she's doing it for fun. And, I mean, you know what it is. You can't explain to people what it feels like to be up on stage and being totally immersed in music. I mean, I probably sound like a broken record. I might say this all the time, but it's just hard for people to. It's hard for me to explain the feeling of being taken out of the world and there's no troubles, and it's just a safe place. I can't explain it.
No, that's a good way to put it. It is. I always say it's a vacation. It's I work from home a lot, and you get frustrated about something, and I have two outlets for a quick fix of my frustration. I'll either go hang out with the dogs for 15 minutes, which is always a blast.
Yeah, that's
it's like a comedy show happening with my dogs. So I'll do that, or I'll play my guitar for 15, 20 minutes, and it just resets me. So
what
people
kind of
don't
stuff you listening to now? Like
musically.
yeah, have you listened to anything recently, or are you just working on your stuff?
I listen. I'm always listening to stuff. I listen to a lot of stuff. I can tell you, I've been listening to a lot of pretty cool older stuff, actually. I will tell you, I'll give you great examples. I've been listening to some Danny Gatton.
Danny Gatton, yeah.
Yeah, Funhouse. I've been listening to that. I've been listening to, what do we got here? Fox on the Run from The Sweet. I've been listening to The Sweet.
No.
So some Electric Light Orchestra. I've been listening to a lot of ELO.
Yeah, a friend of mine said he just saw them in concert which I guess their last tour at the Garden. He said they were phenomenal.
Yeah, they're incredible. It's incredible. I mean, Jeff Lynne is just fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a concert somewhere, maybe it's on Showtime or something, of him at Wimbledon or Wembley Stadium, and it was just it's so good. And I think I saw that. And, then you're like, all right, now I'm going to listen to Yellow for a couple minutes. That's what I'm going to do. But there's a couple new bands. There's so many bands out there that there's so few really good music that I've found. But there are a couple of them, and this one band that I found is called Kaleo, Kaleo, and it's a band from Iceland, and they've got like a Delta blues thing going on with like a rock and roll that's just fantastic.
Yeah, I never heard of them.
Yeah, no, they're a young band. I mean, these guys got to be in their 20s, but they're fantastic.
Oh, wow.
And, I've been listening to some weird stuff. I've been listening to Iggy Pop lately. John Waite, remember John Waite?
Oh yeah.
Little Faces. But and I've been listening to Cream, and I'm all over the place. I listen to a lot of different stuff. From I'll listen to some dance stuff. Yeah, I've been listening to Gary Clark Jr. a lot. Good blues player.
Yeah, he's the new blues guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw him. I was lucky enough to see Eric Clapton at the Garden last time he was there, and Gary Clark Jr. opened up, and actually he plays a song called "Numb" that I really like. There's a live version of that one, and when my train pulls in. two fantastic songs, and there's live versions of them on YouTube, and he's he's a feel player. He's not ripping speed licks or anything like that. But he's the guy that'll hit that note and be able to still just scream at you.
Right.
And he's using an old, not old. He's using an octafuzz, so it's got that cool buzzy octave thing, like the Jimi Hendrix sound thing going on. So I liked it so much I went out and got an octafuzz. So I've been playing some of that stuff. But I'm all over the place.
Yeah, that's like some of the, I don't know, one of the newer bands that my son turned me on to. The bass player, the name escapes me, but the bass player is incredible. And I don't know whether it was Snarky Puppy or one of those new bands. But anyway, he used this octave thing called a POG.
POG,
by Electro-Harmonics. And he used it on the bass. And I was just like, wow, man, it was so cool. So I kept telling my son, oh, man, I'd love to have one of those, but, $275 for a pedal. I'm like, I don't. So my son surprised me for Christmas, and he went,
Nice.
Yeah, so it was sweet. So now I have it in my pedal board, and not only do I use it all the time for myself and for fun, but it's just very sentimental now.
Well, all those things are, they'll like, it's like the pedals.
That's my special pedal right now.
Yeah, no, I got you, because what happens is like, you get inspired playing something like that. It's like, I'll play, one of these guitars. They're all different, right? And then I'll play, the Strat with humbuckers that I built. There's some sort of thing that I play with that. There's some sort of music that I play. And when I did that, the amber Strat behind me, it has very transparent pickups. I'm the type of guy. I don't like a lot of distortion. I like overdrive, but I want to be able to hit a chord and hear every string, every note in the chord.
Right. Yes, you don't want to mud it down.
Yeah, I want to hear everything and the tone, and I'm just looking for an edge. But then, I'll play certain stuff with it. Then I'll pick up the 58, and then I play completely different stuff. Well, that octafuzz is like that pedal for me. I play that, and all of a sudden I'm playing really weird, different stuff. And you go to different places, so it's really a lot of fun. One of these days, I'll be able to put everything in front of me, and just keep trying different things. I buy things and then I play with them, and then because I don't need them for a gig, and I try to keep my board small, I put it away, and then I don't take it out until I rediscover it, So.
Yeah, well, I used to bring so much stuff that now I just, right before I leave the house, I always got, well, actually, beforehand, I say, oh, I'm going to bring this to the gig, I'm going to bring that to the gig, I'm going to bring this to the gig, I'm going to bring that to the gig. And then I go to myself, right before I leave, I go, nah, I'm just going to bring my amp and my bass cord and just plug in and play. And I've been full circle with the effects. I use a ton of them, and then I don't use any at all. And then I use
That's how I am. It's
and
like,
then sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't use it. Depends on how I'm feeling.
Yeah. I built. I have.
Depends on if I want to plug it in or not. I'm that lazy.
Walking down the street. Oh, that was actually some. What was that? Ray Charles. I've been listening to Ray Charles lately. It just popped on.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been listening to like Greenbacks, the stuff from the old stuff. It's great stuff.
Oh, yeah, great.
I've been playing. I actually have this thing. The biggest issue that guitar players have is, how do I get a boost happening for a solo? It's like your amp is overdriven or something. You don't have a lot of headroom. Where are you going to get this boost from without oversaturating? So, because that's a lot of people do. They'll boost with a boost pedal, and what they're doing is they're adding more distortion or more saturation.
They're just adding more gain.
Yeah, they're not really adding level. So what I did is I built a pedal that I couldn't find. And it's a loop pedal, and what I did is I went nuts with this thing. I wanted to have, in one loop would be an overdrive, and in the other loop would be another overdrive. Sounds simple, So you go into the pedal, and it could be in loop A or loop B. Okay. The issue was having one button to switch back and forth, not having a button for each loop, having one button. So when you hit it, it engages loop A, and hit it again, and engages loop B. So you can actually use one as an overdrive with a little more level on it. And it was pretty cool. I found a company down in Florida called the Loop Company or something like that, and they made the pedal. They sent it to me, but it was screaming. It was like bleeding. There was a ground bleed going on. It was not usable. So I sent it back to them, and I found a guy on a Facebook page called like Guitar Mods or Pedal Mods or something like that. And I found a guy who designs pedals. He's an electrical engineer, and he figured out how to do this. So he sent me the schematics, and I built this thing. And it's a cool pedal, and I actually put a bypass in it too. So
yeah, so it gives you the volume without giving you more gain.
well, in this case, that's how I'm using it. But the reality is you could use put anything in that loop. You know, you could have one loop that can have overdrive and delay, and one loop that can have chorus and delay. You know, switch back and forth or bypass them all. It was, but the idea was to do it. Where the problem came into play was being able to switch it with one movement, with one switch. So, and I explained it to somebody, they're like, well, that doesn't seem like a big problem. Like, imagine you take a light switch and you flip it, and it turns that light off and this light on. How hard is that going to be to happen? That's what it was. It's not easy.
Yeah. Right. And, it's not like you're flipping a switch and both lights are coming on.
Right. One's got to go on, one's got to go off.
One's got to go on, one's got to go off at the same time.
Yeah, and you can't have a bleed in the sound. So what it had to do with this ground loop that we had to put inside the pedal. So all the jacks are actually stereo jacks. So I can have this ground loop go around, so it wouldn't bleed. It was amazing. But I built one as the prototype, and now I mess around with things. Like I bought a lot of these pedals now. They're like these boutique firms are making these pedals, and they're so expensive.
Oh
and
yeah,
it's insane.
A couple $100, $300.
Yeah, and so what I do is at the end of the day, there was this pedal I found, and they're like, oh, it sounds just like the Boss OD1 from like the 80s, the overdrive pedal from the 80s from my Boss. So I'm like, this thing's like $275. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can buy a Boss OD1 for like $60. Why don't I just do that?
Yeah, why don't we just do that? Yeah.
I just do that, So I buy a lot of. I like overdrive pedals because I'm looking for a certain sound, and I may have like a handful of different sounds, overdrive sounds that I want for a project that I'm doing, And that's another use for that looper that I use too. I'll play gigs where I'm like, okay, I'm going to use, maybe like a tube screamer for like the Stevie Ray tune, but then I'm going to use like I have a Klon, for like, more of a classic rock crunchy sound, like a Free, something from like Free or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Bad Company. It's got that more of a Klon sound,
Right.
So I get into a lot of these things like that. At the end of the day, I'm trying, that's when I have a 3-piece band that's kind of that band that's like everything I want to do that I can't do in bands. That's what we're doing a 3-piece for. And that's where I need this bigger board because we're doing stuff from like, some really cool R&B stuff, all the way to like, I'm playing Hendrix. So I'll use like that Octafuzz in there, and that's where I need to pick my bigger board for that. But for the most part, I'm trying to really simplify it. I'll use like, an overdrive, a delay, maybe a chorus every once in a while. I use a phaser, I use the phase 90, but I like the phase 45, so it's not so much. Even when I use effects, it's very little. I don't like to be overdrawn with effects, but I'll use a crybaby of some kind. Like I like the Vox 846.
Yeah, I always like the crybaby.
Yeah, I rewired it so I have a true bypass in it now, though.
Yeah, that true bypass thing that came out a while ago. I guess I keep hearing that like, well, this pedal's got true bypass. In other words, it just doesn't color anything. It just
Yeah, what it is
goes jack
when the
to
pet
jack, right? And that's
yeah,
it.
well, when the pedal's not engaged, it's not going through the circuit. That doesn't always mean a bad thing. Like Boss pedals have buffers in them, you know. So you want a buffer if you have like a lot of cabling going on. So I always have a Boss pedal somewhere in my stuff, and for a buffer instead of putting another buffer on it. But what happened was like a lot of the wah pedals, they didn't have buffers. They just really destroyed the tone when they weren't engaged. So
Yeah,
for some reason,
the Wawa pedals, right? You talking about?
right, the wah wah pedals, they would
Yeah,
just
because I used to try to use one for bass, and I loved it when I kicked it in, but I couldn't. I didn't like the sound otherwise.
yeah, yeah.
I guess that's why.
I would I bypassed. I put a true bypass switch in them, and then I also drill in an LED so I can see when the thing's engaged or not. You know, but you can do that stuff. That's pretty fun stuff. I'm a tinkerer. You know, stuff like that. Stuff that's like mechanical for that
Hmm.
matter,
Yeah,
or if it's like wiring makes more sense to me. It's logical to me. It's a line. It's a path. You know, so that makes sense to me. Computers are like three-dimensional for me. I don't get it. You know, but the stuff like software is beyond me. But stuff like pedals, I can understand that. I understand PC boards and stuff like that, and I'll fiddle with it because why not? I don't want to sound like someone else. That's why I could never be in a tribute band. I don't want to sound like anybody else, but I don't want to mimic anybody. And
right.
I'm not, and I'm amazed at some of the people there that can that do this and that in tribute bands are so fantastic. You know, I just
Yeah,
know that
that's
I'm
one
not.
thing. You know, when I was talking to somebody who I really was, who I really looked up to in the music business, and you know, he was always, always in the cover band, always playing covers and stuff like that. But tremendous guitar player. And I was saying to him, yeah, it sucks that we can't make any money playing originals, and we always gotta play covers and stuff. He goes, hey man, he goes, don't put down covers stuff. And uh, I'm like, yeah, oh. He goes, bro. He goes, listen, look at it this way. He goes, when you play and you're being yourself, that's easy. You're being yourself. But when you got to be Eric Clapton, you got to be Jeff Beck, you got to be Jimi Hendrix, and you got to be, whoever, all
All
in
one night.
one night.
Yeah.
That's not easy to do.
No.
So,
Yeah.
so that's the other way to look at it. Now it's like, oh, you know what? You're right. It is. That is a
Yeah.
hard.
It's
It's
always
a,
there
so
certainly is
you're
a
always on the
challenge.
quest for your sound.
Yeah.
You got to have an identity.
I think you do. I mean, I always say, I always put my own color on everything I play. Um, and maybe that's because I'm just not. I'm not. I can't. I'm not expressive enough hitting things. I can play things note for note from a player, but it's not really something I want to do. I'm not. I just doesn't work for me. And like I said, I'm not knocking it because I just don't have the discipline for it, or I don't get what I'm looking for out of it. And if somebody does, that's fantastic. And everybody just should be happy and do what they want to do. But I like to play. I like I'm doing in Rocket Fish. I'll play stuff from like we'll do like Rock This Town by the Stray Cats, which is a rockabilly thing, and that's a lot of fun.
Oh
And
yeah.
and Brian Setzer is just a monster guitar player, and here I am trying to get the sound of like a Falcon Gretsch or something like that on a Stratocaster
Yeah.
after I just played like a Stone Temple Pilots tune.
I know it's difficult, right?
And and I'm trying to do that with a limited amount of pedals and effects.
Yeah.
So I'm big into like I'll volume down and I use every pickup switch position I can, and I use everything. I use everything on the guitar to get a sound, but I sound like me playing those songs. I think.
That's
And
one thing that I never do, and that's like play a song or record a song and change the sound in the middle of the song, or and then change back at the end. Like when you hear Hendrix, you can hear him. You can hear the different switches and when he
right,
uses the volume, and you can actually hear him changing sound.
yeah.
And of course, I do it a lot with playing forward or playing back.
And you can do that on guitar too and
But
get
I
that
never
effect.
fiddle with my controls.
Yeah. Now
And,
think,
sometimes that could be cool, I think.
well, you think about like Hendrix doing it now. Think about this. He used it 5 positions on a 3-way switch. So when he was moving that stuff around, it wasn't like there was a notch for him to put that in. He was balancing that space between the first and second
Oh,
position of the
there was
3-way.
out of phase. He was actually holding it with like his pinky or something.
Yeah, or he would just balance it, get it in the right spot, and it would stay there. But
Oh, and
I
just
mean,
balance.
he was such an aggressive player that I'm sure he knocked it out a number of times, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't have 5 position switches back then. They were all 3.
Oh, see.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But yeah,
that's
just
there's a lot
the
to
fact
that.
of changing tones like in a song, like
I
playing
do.
the
I
verse
change a
one
lot.
way and then playing the bridge another way. Because I
I'll change
remember
a lot.
back in the day, Carol Kay, you could hear her play with the pick, and you could hear James Jamerson play with the fingers, and
Yeah,
you would hear when they used Carol's parts on the Motown song for the bridge because it would brighten up in the chorus because she was playing with a pick. And then back at the verse, they'd cut back to Jameson with playing with the fingers.
yeah.
Pretty incredible.
Well, think about the song "White Room" by Cream. Okay, when right before the solo, they hit that A minor 7, you know, and they're holding on it, and you hear a saturation build up, a pickup switch change, and for that solo, that's what he's doing. He's actually voluming up, and he's moving his pickup switch. You know,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
you can
that's
actually
cool.
hear that moment right before the solo.
Yeah, I never noticed that. I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah, right.
noticed it on some Hendrix things.
Yeah, you certainly understood a lot of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, I have a Telecaster. This is like a cool trick on a telly now that I would do on every telly that I would get. I would do this. You know, there are normal 3 position switches, right? So you would have your bridge position single coil and your neck position single coil, and then in the middle was both of them in parallel. Well, I have a telly, and I put a 4-way switch in there because I have another switch that puts them both in serial. So it
So
sounds like a
series and parallel.
both in series. Yeah, so I have a series to be in series, both in series or both in parallel.
Oh,
And
wow.
when you put it in series, it actually sounds like a humbucker out of a telly.
Wow.
It's huge. So I played somewhere with my telly, and you know I'm playing. You know we're playing a country song. Oh, the Eagles. Take It Easy by the Eagles. So I got the telly going on, and I got that little out of phase thing twang going on, you know, for the solo. And then I think the next song was something very heavy, and I put it in the series of same guitar. People were like, "Wow, what was that?"
Yeah,
You know?
wow, is that the same guitar? That's not
Yeah.
the same guitar.
Yeah, and I didn't move a pick. I didn't move a pedal or anything. I just changed this, you know, volumed up and put it in the series position. It was like boom, huge sound. So there's a lot of cool things you can do, but you know, I was just reading up about Hendrix, all the stuff that he did back then. You know, with he invented the octave pedal. The octave fuzz pedal was invented for him. His guitar tech invented it.
Hmm. What didn't you use like a fuzz face or something like that?
Yeah, they used to cut it. They used to. What was this guy's name? I can't remember his name. Dan Golan or something like that, Galan or something. He had a fuzz face, and he would redo whatever he did in the fuzz face. And that's how he actually met him. He says, "Play this," and Jimi Hendrix played it and said, "You're my guitar tech."
Yeah.
That was it. But yeah, he would do the fuzz face. They would modify the fuzz face, but people would steal them all the time because back then they just had the pedal on the floor. So whoever was there would just grab the pedal. So you had to keep making new ones. So somewhere around there's probably a 10 or 15 fuzz faces that were modified by Jimi Hendrix guy, and played by Jimmy that nobody even knows anymore.
Yeah, and they're probably waiting to sell them for $1 million or something.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah. Oh man, I'll tell you. So what do you think? What do you have any advice for anybody that's you know uh, not playing right now that needs a gig like me?
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough out there, But I don't even want a gig yet. I'm still paranoid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm terrible, but
I think that's.
I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. But I don't know. I don't. The people are playing, right? You said you played.
Well, I played 2 acoustic gigs, and the good thing about it, I played these acoustic gigs with Owen, the singer from Rocket Fish, and he's more nervous about this whole thing than I am, which is a good thing because when someone else is more nervous than me, I can kind of relax a little bit, And so we played this gig the other day at the Proving Ground in Highlands, and we were on a stage and we were away from everybody, and we had a lot of space. The place was busy, but they did a great job of social distancing people had masks on.
Where is that in the Highlands? Because I'm very familiar with the Highlands. Is that new restaurant that opened up?
I guess it's new. I'm not familiar with the Highlands. I just know where this place is. It's on the water, so you got a dock in the back.
I'm trying to think which one it is because my friend lives down there.
Was it Shrewsbury Road or something like that? Right on at the bottom of Shrewsbury Road, I think is what it's called, or Shrewsbury Street.
Do you have to go past the ferry to get to it?
I go.
Did you see the Silver Streak ferry?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, if you didn't see that, then it's the other ones on
it's right on the corner, on the point, because I come down where Sandy Hook is, right? I go down underneath there where there was that old, was it Moby's restaurant or something that used to be there? I don't remember. So you go down there and whip around there, and then it's right down on that point.
Yeah, right down on that point.
Yeah. It's called the Proving. It's a really nice place. Really nice place, and they do a great job. I played a couple gigs there, but we did the acoustic thing there. It was fine. I'm doing. I did the barge gig. It was great. It was we played for like 100 boats. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna do 2 more of those. I think I'm playing. I got a couple of gigs lined up. I'm playing. What are they? I'm playing Jamian's in Red Bank with Rocket Fish, and that's going to be the full band.
And that's not going to be inside, though.
No. I think they got like a portable stage outside that will be on.
Jamian's is doing that. They're doing an outside thing. Do they have access to that big parking lot there in Red Bank? Is that what they?
I'm not the guy. Yeah, I'm not the Owen takes care of all that stuff. It's I know it's in the back is what they're doing. They have a whole outside backyard thing.
Okay.
And they have some sort of portable stage is what I heard. And that's what we're gonna play.
Yeah, they do have a back. It's very small.
I can't imagine them having a lot of space.
No, it's very small back there.
But we're supposed to be playing a gig there.
Though. They have a lot of great entertainment there.
We did their New Year's Eve gig there this year. We did the New Year's Eve gig there, and that was fantastic. We did another gig, and the place is rocking. It's a good old feeling. Yeah, they get a lot of people. We had a lot of people dancing. It was a good time. So we got that on the 7th of August. And what I like about that, I think it's going to be like a 7:30 to 11 or 7:30 to 10 gig, which is wonderful. Or 7 to 10 maybe.
Yeah, I like the early gig.
Yeah. And then I'm playing again at the Proving Grounds on the 13th, and that's going to be the band Rocket Fish playing acoustically. So that should be fun.
All right. Well, I have to come here.
Yeah, it's
Even
gonna be a
even
good.
though I'm still paranoid to go out, I don't know. Maybe by then, maybe by then I'll
Yeah,
be.
we got a month to see what happens, and a lot of things are gonna change. And I just think it's gonna be a weird. I think it's gonna be like this for a good probably till next spring. I would say.
Hmm.
You know, just is what it is. I don't think
Yeah,
you gotta make what you're gonna make the best out of what you can right now. But I like the barge gigs. I was surprised how much I enjoyed the barge gig. I didn't think it was weird. It was a strange, unique thing for me, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
but it's good to hear that it's not like completely dead. like
No,
like nobody's playing. Everything's completely dead. My friends are doing duos and singles and outside things. So
yeah,
I
and
mean,
I like playing with the electric band. I enjoy playing the acoustic stuff. I'm not my favorite thing to do. I like jamming acoustically with friends. But playing 3-4 hours acoustic guitar, is tough. It's tough, and it's. I would rather play electric with the electric band. That to me is scratching the right itch for me, for this
I
situation.
don't know whether I'm just getting old, but sometimes if it's too loud, I don't like it.
No, volume's
I
not.
get angry when it's like and so you know I try not to say anything, but it's like gosh, God,
Yeah,
you know, turn it down. It doesn't
yeah.
have to be
I'm not a
that
fan of
loud,
loud.
especially on stage.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
with all the new gear, it's not necessary anymore.
Right, and that's why I mentioned that Boss tube amp expander that I use. I can actually crank up a tube amp, but I can get it down at whisper volume.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm losing from that is I'm losing the dynamics of the speaker clone. But that's okay. I'd rather that I'll trade that to keep my hearing.
Oh yeah, any day.
Yeah,
I'm half deaf from playing and right in the speaking range. So
yeah,
that's bad for me. But yeah, kids, wear your earplugs or
yeah,
turn it down. Don't kill
yeah.
yourself. I
That's just
mean,
it.
what we used to do when I was a kid playing, because there wasn't any of these things to help you do anything. So we used to turn the speaker cabinets around backwards, then face them against the wall and crank it up that way. And that was the only way we could get any kind of sound out of it. I mean, I had a V4B. The thing was like this, had monster 6L6 power tubes in it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and 812s and the double stack, and it was right in my ear, and
yeah.
and
It's it,
when I was a kid, I did damage pretty bad.
yeah. You can't because you're hitting a certain pitch that's going to just destroy things. It's funny you say about turning the amp around. Rocketfish, we've been actually rehearsing at least once a week now too. And what we're doing is we are in the garage, and we open up all the garage doors, and we put the three instruments are in the garage, and Owen sings from the driveway. And I do the same thing. I take my Fender Hot Rod, which is a very loud amplifier, and I turn it around and I point it right in the corner. And I tell you what, I love playing in the garage. I love playing in the garage. You get that great reverb happening. It's just that great
It's just the
sound.
space, just the
Yeah,
things
it's
bouncing around a
fantastic.
little bit. You
It
get that
sounds
little extra.
terrific, and it's a joy. But yeah, I do the same thing. I put it up because well, the thing about guitars is guitars, the sound coming out of a guitar speaker is like straight, you know,
Yeah, it's
comes
pretty
straight
direct.
at you. Yeah. And out of a bass cabinet, it's kind of spread out. That's why when a car comes driving by that has the music cranking, you really only hear the bass coming through.
Right.
Because it's a wide range on the bass, whatever the audio wave. But guitar is like straight out, and I tell you, that's why it's like if you could have that microphone on a guitar speaker on the cone, or you move it like half an inch over, it's completely different sounds. But they're deafening. You know, you get the amp speaker coming at you, that's gonna just rip you apart. You know.
Yeah,
So
what is it with some guitar players that have to have their guitar on their amp? I mean, their amp on the floor, and then they stand next to it so the sound is about at their knees, and they can't freaking hear it, and the people in the audience's ears are bleeding because the guitar is so damn loud, and it's just going right underneath them. Like, dude, like either angle it back or put it back further so it's further behind it. But a lot of guys do that, and they don't think that they're playing that loud because they don't hear it like that.
Right, right.
But the person 5 tables down the line,
they're deaf.
They're deaf. They're like going,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. What I do is
I guess it just comes down to inexperienced players.
Yeah, but I think there's you know, like I love the sound of this hot rod bouncing off the back of the garage wall. That's the sound that I like. Like, you know, people sometimes when you do recording, you may throw a mic in the back of the cabinet, you know, or throw a room mic in there to grab it.
Especially if it has a vent in the back of the cabinet or the open back.
Yeah, an open back cabinet. But I'll do, like, you know, I can control that very well because remember, at the end of the day, the speaker on stage is really the monitor for you. You're being mic'd.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, if you're at a big place.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you're, you know, to get a good mix.
You're right too. Even most places,
most places the guitar would be mic'd just to spread out the sound in the PA, you know, because it's just going to be lost. Like you said, it's going to be a laser beam at the person in front of it. Right. So I'll even put a baffle in front of it sometimes, or I'll put it on an angle. You know, if I can play and just get the sound on the mic the amp to get the right sound, and I could hear it through the monitors. I'll be okay with that.
I see some guitar players have that plexiglass thing that they put.
Yeah, the baffle. Yeah, I'll play with that sometimes. I mean, I have one. I actually have one that I used for whenever I brought the 412 speakers out. You know, I would put that in front of it, mic the cabinet, and to be honest with you, it would bounce off that baffle, and I enjoyed that sound.
Yeah, and that's a different sound.
Yeah. Because you're getting
everything affects the sound. You know.
Yeah.
I'm on a quest now for a good bass tone. Like I never was before. I was always just more or less try my effects and then get bored with that and then just plug straight in. And you know, I was always the guy that was just like the cleanest sound is what I want.
Yeah.
I just want a good, clean, crystal clear sound.
Are you a fan?
But now, you know, I mean, you know, you hear the rock, you know, then you got to add a little grit into it, maybe a little distortion, or maybe do a separate track that's a distortion track that they can slip in to make the bass pop out in the mix. And like, even at my age, I'm still learning stuff. But I've been trying to, trying not to be so dismissive and just say, yeah, I just need a clear sound, you know.
Yeah, I like, you know, I played in a band with Bill Cherensky, and he was one of the guys who's straight into the amp, and I always liked that, you know, that smoothness, you know. It was nice, and it was a pure sound, you know. And there's not, I think a lot of bass players that I played with, you know, they're trying to color things more than have that. And like, I guess the best example that I could think of is, are you a fan of Tal? Was it Wilkenfeld?
Yeah, the woman that plays with
Jeff. She played with Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
If you look at
she's great.
You watch the video from Live at Ronnie Scott's on YouTube. It's the song is "Cause We Ended as Lovers." She does a bass solo in this.
Yeah.
That is, to my ears, the smoothest bass tone I've ever heard.
Yeah, and she's smooth. She's a smooth player.
And such a great sound, such a great solo, like so tasty, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But I I love that sound, that smoothness, you know. Oh, but, you know, it's interesting because, you know, as a guitar player, you know, the foundation behind you, the bass and drums, man, you know, it's just, you get the right combination now. That's magical.
Yeah.
That's just, you know, that's awesome. And you can tell when they're not connecting. I can tell when the bass and drums aren't on the same page, you know.
Yeah, sometimes it's I at the end of a gig I'll say, "Yay, man, it was nice working against you. Thanks."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
I
Nice
understand what you're
working
saying.
against you. Uh, yeah, I had this conversation with Bill. It's sometimes I'm not gonna go down that road of dreary. I'm just not. It's just
Yeah.
I'm gonna push you ahead and keep you in time, and if not, I'm gonna yell at you and tell you you suck. Go fucking practice with a metronome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'd feel bad afterwards, and I'd be like, oh, I should have never said that. Hey, you know
No, but I
what?
mean, at the end of the
You
day,
know,
you,
call a
this
duck a
is
duck. What can I
yeah.
say?
I don't
I
see.
don't like to hurt anybody's feelings, but sometimes you gotta wake people up and say, dude, look, practice with a metronome because. And I'm talking about inexperience. You go to
Yeah.
these jam sessions and stuff, and I try not to be hard on anybody.
Yeah.
Most
But
of
when
the
you're
time,
playing
I
a
won't
gig,
say
though,
anything unless they're really, really bad. And I'll have to say, like,
yeah.
bro, go home and practice with a metronome,
Yeah.
before you come up here again.
Yeah. Well, you know, my biggest thing with
Ah!
my biggest thing with playing with you know drummer and like I said, I play a lot. Growing up with a great drummer, I play to the drummer a lot. I love playing to a tight drummer. You know, like snare snapping. You know, I don't like things that are muddy and floppy. You know what I'm saying? And when you get that bass goes with it, it's just it's beautiful. But I have to say that you know I have I've played gigs where I'm like, what's going on? You know, what's happening here? You know, and you can see there's no communication. And then I played gigs with drummers that never look at you. You know, I'm
I
a
don't
big
like playing
fan.
with anybody that never looks at
Right. You know,
anybody. It's like, come on, dude. Like, I got that.
I
Hello.
yeah, I played a song one time at a gig, and at the end of the song, you know, the drummer wouldn't doesn't look up, kind of looks down the whole time that he's playing, and I didn't know when the song was going to end, and I'm looking at the bass player. We actually started laughing. We're like, I guess I'm just going to keep doing this chord progression until the drummer looks up and says we're going to end the song. You know,
Yeah. Just
but
keep doing the same
it
thing.
just kept going on and on, and you know, and it was like you know I think the idea of visually communicating with everybody keeps everybody in time too. You know, it locks everybody in a lot better. It certainly
Yeah.
aids in it. It's not going to hurt it, but I can't stand when there's no communication going on visually. It's a
Well, it's
tough
tough
thing.
because sometimes bass players and drummers just don't gel with each other, and it's just not a good feeling, And a lot of times you do. You lock in, great, and everything is going, just like butter, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it depends.
But it happens. It happens. I've been in. I've gone out to play with bands and I've not taken the job because I said I'm not the right guy. This is not gonna. I'm not the right person for this.
Right.
You know, because it great guy, great people. You know, very friendly, very nice people. It's nothing's ever. I think that you know when I got back into playing, I decided that I'm going to be honest and I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to be. Like, I'll try not to be rude. You know, I didn't want to be rude and you know offend
Yeah.
anybody, but I'm going to be honest and I'm going to be like, well, I'm not the right guy for this or this isn't for me or. But all those people that I've played in bands with that I've left I can consider myself still friends with all of them, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and I would play with them, you know, if they asked me to if you know for something that'd be great, it'd be fun, because if I joined a band, I joined a band because they had ability, you know, and it just wasn't for some reason, like you said, we weren't gelling, something wasn't happening, whatever it might have been, and then you're like, well, you know, I always said, you know, sometimes it's good to be fired from a job because you can find out where you belong, you know. And if you stick to something that you're not really happy with, you're missing that opportunity possibly, you know?
Yeah, well, going back, way back when we first were talking, and we were talking about being, replaced in a band. If I wasn't replaced in the band that I was in at the time, I would have never got pissed off and went to music school.
Right.
Because when I got kicked out of that band, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to show these dudes, and I'm going to be in this way longer than any of these people.
Yeah.
And I am just going to rule, and I'm going to kick ass, and I'm going to learn music and be a musician and not just a copycat of a record. I mean, I didn't know what a C scale was, and I was playing Earth, Wind, and Fire on tours all up and down the East Coast because my friends helped me learn the songs.
Right.
I would put in as much work as I could, and then the guitar player would say, well, no, that's not quite right. We almost got it. And, it's this. And then the other guitar player would go, yeah, but, this section is a little different, And they would help me.
Yeah.
But I never really knew what I was doing.
Yeah,
And I didn't know what a C scale was. And I'm playing Earth, Wind, and Fire and For the Love of Money, Anthony Jackson,
Yeah.
playing all of that stuff. But I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Right.
But yeah, and if I wouldn't have got kicked out of that band, I would have never went to music school, and then I probably would have stopped playing or whatever. And none of those guys, except for one of the guys, the one person that's still in the music industry, is the guy that replaced me. And I'm going to say his name because the only consolation was I got replaced by a fantastic, great, brilliant musician by the name of Glenn Burtnick.
Oh, really, Glenn? Yeah.
And I love Glenn, and he took my place in this band.
Nice.
And, I just love him to death. I think he's a brilliant musician. So I really don't feel that bad about getting replaced.
Right.
Because if I'm going to get replaced by Glenn Burtnick, well, I guess that's it.
You're right. If I didn't,
that's the way I look at it now. I try to find the good side of it.
No, you're right. Because if I didn't get kicked out of that band when I was like 15 years old, Troy would have not have introduced me to my friend Danny and on drums, and that was really the start of to play with somebody who's spectacularly talented, and it makes you grow. You want to play people better than you on a higher level.
Oh, absolutely. I try to do that all the time. I try to always put myself in there with people that I have trouble hanging with. I'm doing a thing right now that with a guy named Vincent Partisi on keyboards and a guy named Mike Hogan on guitar. And these guys, wow, it's so much fun. So
it's you got to bring your A game,
And I can learn a bunch from either of those guys. But we've been getting together on an occasional Friday, and we did the social distancing thing in the backyard, and we did it the last 2 or 3 times, and it's just wonderful to play again,
Yeah, no, I understand.
And to play with musicians that are better than you, and it's just so inspiring.
Yeah.
So that's it for you young guys. Remember, have a day job. That's number one. And always play with guys that are better than you that you can learn from.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of truth in that, and it's I think people don't look at it as it's a growing thing. You're learning every day.
So when are you going to crank up your trio?
The trio. Andy Zampella is the drummer of the trio. He and I were in a band called Fools Among Us, which was my favorite band, and I just love the guys. to death. We get together. We're like brothers. And Andy and I, when that band just ran its course, it was really ended because it was time, you know. And none of these things are forever, you know. I'm only married.
Yeah.
I'm only married to my wife, you know, and that's the one that's going to be going on. So all these bands, you know, they're on my path. Put it this way. So they'll all, you know, everything will come to an end, and everything then something new will start. The three-piece band was something that I always wanted to do because I was in, like I said, I was always the replacement guitar player in all the bands I was in. And I always wanted to do songs, and I was always shot down for whatever reason. And a lot of times I knew the reason why it wouldn't work because no one knew the song, you know. So I always had this idea of doing a three-piece band where everybody sings, everybody has to sing, all three musicians have to sing, and they have to be, you know, top of their game players at their instruments too. So that's the trio, and we had a great one. We had it all set up. And then we had a bass player who was a fantastic singer. He dropped out, and we've been on a search for a while. And we had a couple setbacks, some illnesses, some surgeries, and it's a side gig. So
Life,
it's not,
yeah.
yeah.
It's not like you're doing this for your life and death situation.
Right. No, this is the scratch and itch,
Mm-hmm.
and the goal is we have you know, we have a handful of great bass players that happen to be also fantastic singers, and you know, just trying to put it all together, and you know, maybe that will we'll have certain people in it. I don't know. I don't know what's going to end up. Who's going to end up being the bass player singer? I have a few in mind that I just love playing with, and I'd love to do something with them if it's not going to be this or whatever it is. Like I said, I've been collecting musicians. That's kind of what I've been doing. I've been every band I'm in, I'm just meeting people and trying to let's get together and jam and feel them out. And I played with some wonderful players over the years, the last couple of years. So I think what we'll do is we'll get this going whenever we can. Hopefully the next couple of months. I've been kind of on Andy about getting ready, and he's just been working to death. So and he's got a little daughter, so he's very busy at home. And but he'll get his time to have a rehearsal, a jam, and we'll have this somebody come out and play bass and sing. And whenever it clicks, when everything falls into the right notches, we'll play maybe 5-6 gigs a year. You know.
Yeah.
And it's going to be completely on our terms. I wouldn't say my terms, but completely on our terms. In other words, we're not going to do a 10 o'clock start. It's just not going to happen. This band's going to start at like 7 or 8 at night, play to 10 or 11. You know, we're doing a small footprint, so it's going to be. We're not going to be loud. We're going to have small. You know, it's going to be comfortable for everything. But we're doing songs like that you wouldn't expect a three-piece to do. You know, like Baker Street. We're doing. You know, we do. We're doing some heavier stuff. You know, we'll do some Hendrix. We'll do some R&B. You know, we're all over the place. There's no wrong answer is what I always said. The only wrong answer is something that you don't want to play. Right. So if somebody comes up, if somebody says, "Hey, I want to do the song," and say, "I really don't want to do the song," okay, there's plenty of songs out there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great material.
Yeah,
there's a lot of great material. You know, that's so like I always said too. You know, like singers, or they'll say, "Oh, I just, I just can't get this one part, or this one part always feels uncomfortable." I just say, dude, there's a lot of other songs. Just pick them up.
Yeah, there's plenty. I mean, there's plenty. There's plenty to go back and get another song with. You know, and there's a lot of stuff out there. So I want to do a lot of different stuff, and I know that the cover bands that I'm in, I know it just doesn't work with a lot of these things. But and there's some songs that I played in a three-piece that we played in the past that I brought to Rocket Fish as an example, and now that we're playing it there too, we'll still play it in a three-piece, but
because you love the song.
Love the song, yeah. And that's really it. It's scratching an itch, and you know what? I want to play. We'll play, like I said, 4 or 5, maybe 6 gigs a year, and we'll play places that we're friends with. We have friends. Obviously, we're friends with some of the places we play with, and but I don't want to. I don't want to play to like a few people. I want to play to a lot of people. So we'll play.
Like charity gigs, you play a lot to a lot of people, but you don't
Yeah.
make any money. But
No,
if you like playing to a lot of people,
yeah,
do a big charity event, and you'll feel good about it, and
well, like
I'll get the vibe of the whole thing.
I'll do a charity event, and I'll bring like 2 other bands out. We'll play like a long set for that matter or something like, and that'd be fun, And,
it's always fun to do. With a lot of charity events have a lot of people at them sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll play like I'll play some friends' restaurants and bars, but I always made this rule when I don't book anything for Fools Among Us. I mean for Rocket Fish, Owen kind of takes care of that. But when I was booking gigs for Fools Among Us, I made a rule with the bar owners like, hey, listen, I'm not going to book anything within like 15 miles for a month before and a month after, because I want to play in front of people. I don't just I don't want to play in front of like 4 people at 2 in the morning. I want to play in front of a lot of people, earlier,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I'm not
I
don't go out at 11 at night. That doesn't happen anymore. I'm asleep. It's past my bedtime now.
Past your bedtime now, yeah. Yeah, we've been going for quite a while. I think like 3 hours or something.
Yeah,
like So anyway, I'm glad to hear that you're busy and that you are doing great with the music and also your other business that keeps the bills coming in and the world going around. Um, and I wish you a lot of luck. And it's great having you on the show. It was a pleasure. I mean, we could go on for another hour if we wanted to. And it seems like I've known you for a long time, like all my life. It's just been really easy. And
great.
Thanks once again.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure meeting you, and I hope to soon shake your hand.
Yeah. All right. Well, peace. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. You take care.
All right, I'd like to thank those of you that are still with us. Thank you for watching the show. Don't forget, click on my picture at the end of this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the little bell so you get notifications so you don't miss a thing. Peace, love, and music for all.